No mai haere mai. It's the Huddy Hui. Find Huddy Sports on Instagram and Facebook. huddysports.co.nz. Now let's kōrero.
Kia ora, good evening and welcome to the Huddy Hui, episode 140. We're heading into round 4 of the Swindale Shield, and we've also got some first 15 pre-season games coming up this weekend as well, which we will cover in our preview. And it's also heading up to Anzac Day as well. Of course, a lot of rugby clubs in Wellington have a strong connection with soldiers that fought and died in both world wars and other wars that New Zealand has been a part of. Our guest tonight is Wellington Lions player who's been a part of 2 Wellington campaigns for the NPC Trophy. He made his return just recently for the Blues and Super Rugby. So we caught up last night with PJ Sheck before the Blues hopped on the plane to go to Brisbane. So PJ Sheck is our guest on the Huddy Hui. Sit back and enjoy. Lions prop and Tawa prop, PJ Sheck. Many thanks for coming on the Hui tonight, PJ. A tough loss last week. Yeah. No, thank you. Bit of a tough loss last week for the Blues. What were the learnings from that game?
Boys are gutted about their last game. Some of the refs call were pretty 50-50 in our eyes, but we just move on from that game and then on to the next. It's always been our mindset. Just next challenge.
You played against Moana Pacifica 2 weeks ago. How was your performance?
I felt I went all right on that, Yeah, I was pretty stoked to be out there again, considering I was out for 6 months from a shoulder injury. But I felt I went all right. Just got a little niggle like last 5 minutes of the game, and then just rehabbing on that, trying to get back out there on that field again.
And how long's that rehab going to take for you?
Hopefully get a run next week. Just taking my time, come back. Don't want to get injured in the long term.
And how did the move to the city of South come about for you?
That was pretty unexpected, obviously I'm loving my time up here, but there was I think the old CEO from Blues came down to Wellington, and my agent sort of hooked up a little meeting between me and him, and we just went over my goals and my values with him, when we were sitting there having a cup of coffee, and he obviously liked what I said, and decided to take me on, which I'm grateful for.
You made your Blues debut last year against the Rebels. How was that debut? And I believe you also scored in that game as well.
Yeah, no, it was pretty surreal as well. I went to the coaches and I told them that I was ready. I was confident in my my preparation on actually playing Super Rugby. I told them I was ready, and I wasn't really expecting VC Vern to tell me that I'll be starting that game. And then when he said I was starting, I was like shitting myself. Sorry for the language. I was shitting myself, but I was but the boys made it so much easier for me to get comfortable and just tell me just focus on my own job, and just don't go too hard at the start of the first half. In the first 10 minutes, I'll blow out for the rest of the game. So I was just taking it nice and easy. But no, for that try, it was it was all thanks to my good old mate Anton Segner. He's the one that drove me over the line. But it was good to get one up while having family there.
The Blues have some of the greats of New Zealand rugby in the front row. What have you learnt from them?
No, just yeah. Obviously, we have Offa, Marcel, and Angus, Jody Lay there as well. But yeah, nah, they've been teaching me a lot, especially the two tight heads. You know, just teaching me like all the little details that I never really thought about when I first came in. And yeah, nah, they made a huge impact on my career so far, to be honest.
Former All Black scrum coach Greg Fee has been involved with the Blues. What have you learnt from him since he's previously coached at the international level?
Yeah, nah, like I said before, yeah, I've learned a lot, especially from him as well. Like, he'll always call me in on our off days just to come and get a few setups, a few hit on the sleds, which was pretty rare for me because like what's called not many coaches has done that, like taking their time out of their day just to come and like teach me like what I need and stuff like that. But yeah, no, huge like praise to him for where my scrumming is at right now. I feel like he's taken my scrumming to like a whole new level that I didn't know was there.
You've already had experience of Super Rugby in 2023. You played for the Highlanders. What was behind the call up to the Landers? And were you? I think you were in the Hurricanes wider squad at that time as well, weren't you?
Yeah, I was doing preseason with the Canes, and so once the season started, I was just gonna be in 2 days a week with him, is what I've heard from my agent. But my agent came back to me and said that the Landers one of their props have gone down, and he's looking at maybe 8 weeks or 10, and they wanted me to come down and I'll be in full time. So I just decided it was better for my career to go down and actually get like full time in with the team.
And who was your debut for the Landers? Who did you play against?
Oh, we played against the Force. I was only I only got chucked on the last 10 minutes, but I was pretty grateful for that, you know. Like they trusted me enough to be out there, so pretty grateful.
You're a product of Porirua College. Tell us about your time there.
Oh, Porirua College. Yeah, I loved it. I mean, some other people will see it as like a school that not many like big names are from, or like probably not many kids will make it out of there. But like my time there was, I loved it. Made a lot of good friends that I'm still friends with today. Like, yeah, I would just say it's a brotherhood over there.
And you're also part of the PC First 15 that won the Bed Trophy. Tell us about this special trophy and what makes it special to play for it.
No, the BS Trophy is only like kind of like a little region trophy thing. So I think it's like Viat, Altea, Tawa, Porirua, and Mana College. So just 5 of those teams playing for that one trophy. And I don't know, it's kind of pretty special because like you're going up against mates that are at different schools, like cousins that you knew from, your cousins that you know, but they go to a different school, stuff like that. So it's kind of like you make it kind of like personal, and like it was pretty good just to get one up on the schools back then because we had the bragging rights for that year.
Exactly. I've commentated Bed Trophy games in the past. They've always been exciting. You were selected for the Wellington under-19s. Let's talk about that special group that went away to the Jock Hobbs tournament in Taupo.
I think we had some pretty big names that were in that team, so I was kind of like starstruck because I knew of them because those boys were the ones that at the biggest school, like Naitor. Who else? Naitor, like
Tame Plumtree was in that, wasn't it?
Yeah, Tame Plumtree, all those big names. So pretty starstruck, but once we really like got into training and got to know them, they're actually real good. Like good boys to yarn to, like tell a few jokes here and there. So they're just like what they act like pretty normal stuff like that. But I was saying, I'm saying like yeah, that team was kind of like a brotherhood. Going obviously we didn't get the job done, but most of us boys just stayed close after that, and yeah, just always flicking a message here and there just to wish them well for whatever they have going on now.
You think it's a bit of a shame that that tournament doesn't exist anymore?
Yeah, big shame, man, because would have loved to see some of the new kids get their experience in that tournament, just going up against the best in the country, and like who knows, you might actually see them play supers one day, or be playing alongside them in the supers.
After college, you made the move out to Helston Park to play for Johnsonville until 2020. How was your time there? And they also made you captain for that 2020 season as well.
Yeah. No, really enjoyed my time out there. So like that's where I found my love for the game again, because after school I wasn't really thinking about playing any rugby or like playing at all. So yeah, for me, when I started playing with them, I actually like started to consider the fact that I can actually use this as a way for me to build my career, actually turn rugby into a career. And when they made me captain, I was kind of buzzing out because I was still young at the time, and I was like making calls for big dogs as like Kane Thompson and like Jeff Makapelu, and I didn't know what was happening, but it was good experience, good learnings as well. Taken from that, actually showed me it kind of humbled me a bit as well. With that,
of course, yeah, exactly. And it was during that time Johnsonville went on a bit of a streak, but unfortunately not a winning streak. It was a bit of a streak for a long time there where Johnsonville didn't win a game. 29 consecutive losses, 36 in Swindale. But Johnsonville, that was finally broken in 2020 over Avalon. Explain that feeling, finally getting the win for Johnsonville.
No, it felt like we won the championship. I'm not gonna lie. No, it was, yeah, some of us boys were in the changing room singing the team song, and we didn't even know what the lyrics were or what the words were. But yeah, no, it was so good. Like getting that one, like I was stoked because it was probably like my first one at Premier level. Yeah, and I was actually pretty happy to be a part of that.
Long time coming. And then after 2020, you made the move up to State Highway 1 to Tawa Rugby Football Club. How have you enjoyed your time playing at Lyndhurst Park?
No, I've loved it. Like love it to this day. I'd call Lyndhurst or Tawa my home, and that's where my heart lies now. Still, but yeah, since being here, I really connected with some of the boys that are there as well, because they're kind of pretty similar to me and my little brother. Like always having a laugh here and there, not knowing knowing when to have a joke or when to take it serious. But I love it, because the boys show up every Saturday and like play their heart out, even though during the trainings they're always just mucking around, telling jokes here and there, or kicking the ball around. But yeah, different story when it comes Saturday.
2021, Tawa made the Jubilee Cup final, and you're up against what were deemed the favourites for the final, Mara St. Pat's. However, you destroyed them, 36-7 in that final. Tell us about that final. And I also hear that the warm-up across the road at the Bellevue was pretty good too.
Yeah, nah, that was pretty good. So like the whole week leading up to that, I was shit nervous because I knew who was in their team, the Maris team, and I knew what kind of playing style they had, and they're pretty big boys, tough boys as well, and so like during warm up, I was warming up fine, and then when one of the lifts, my back just froze up, and I was like, oh no, we're in for a long day here, especially in those scrums. Yeah, and I was like, I didn't know whether I'll be playing full 80 or because I don't think we had a prop on the bench during that game for us. Yeah, so I was starting to doubt myself, but it was good because I had all the guys like Folau and Vinny like next to me, just telling me, "Hurry up, man up." Like, yeah, it was good because I was just watching them throw their body and like put their body on the line, so it made me just want to do the same. But yeah, that one was special. Probably one of my favorites to date right now.
Were you quite surprised with the scoreline and how well you played in that final?
If you asked me that question like beforehand, like if you told me that we're gonna smoke them by this month, I would be surprised. But after the game, I was lucky, like expecting that because like the boys were pretty on. Like everything was just like falling together for us. Like our defense was probably the main thing that won us that game. I'm not gonna lie.
Now, of course, have you been keeping an eye on how Tawa's been going in the Swindale Shield this year, despite the fact you're up in Auckland? Have you been managed to see how they've been going?
Yeah, I've seen they've lost one maybe to Petone last week.
Yes, Petone, yeah.
Yeah, and just got up against Poneke recently. So yeah, just been keeping track of that, seeing how the brothers are going.
Of course, round one, they played a rematch of the final from 2024 against Old Boys University. They got up that time. It was a seesawing game, wasn't it?
Yeah, and I was watching a little bit of it and see some of the young bucks actually stepping up, like Jacob Denya, but he's pretty unreal as well.
Yeah, no, he's very talented. Some very talented players in that Tawa team at the moment. Here's a question for you as a prop. Who is the toughest opposition player you have come up against and why?
Scrummaging wise,
yeah.
Yeah, there's a few to name, but if I had to say someone, I'd actually have to pick two.
Yep.
So it'll be Xavier Numia or Sefo. Because I've scrummed him so many times in lines and always going backwards. And Jared Prophet, that guy's just unreal in the scrums, just next level.
Representative Honours came calling for you when you made your debut for the Wellington Lions in 2020. Who was it against? And what was it like running out for your provincial team? And do you remember the finer details of your debut?
Yeah, it was against Northland, eh?
Yep.
They so Leo called me, I'd say the Sunday after we won the Jubilee Cup, and I was still on the piss, like singing. Yeah, I was still drinking, and I told him straight up that I was still drinking, but he wanted me to come in on Monday, and he said, yeah, I know you're drinking, mate. Just enjoy yourself. Just be there tomorrow, and we'll see where you go from there. Yeah, and I walked in, and I didn't expect to get a game time, or I didn't expect to play that week. I just thought I was there to make up the numbers, but one of the props went down, pick, and yeah, ended up playing that Northland game, and I remember just sitting on the side on the bench, just watching the clock tick down, and I'm like, please, just get to 70, and then I'll try and see where I go from there. And yeah, luckily enough, I got on like maybe 65 minutes, the last 15 minutes of the game. Went on, and I knew, like, I felt like I was gonna pass out. My legs were jelly as hell because it was my first time being out, like playing on that stadium in front of like so many people. And yeah, all I could think of was just clean rocks. Make sure you're not offside, and just hope when you scrum, it just the ball's out of there in like 2 seconds, so you don't have to scrum for that long.
Now, of course, Wellington as a NPC team has had some great success recently. Let's talk about 2022. First title for Wellington since the year 2000 against Canterbury, again in Christchurch. How incredible was that final, considering Canterbury was listed as the favourites into that final?
That one right there was probably like my favorite game ever for Lions. I can't really describe the feeling because I was just in shock from like from how we pulled out of our ass, not gonna lie. But it was just like great to get one for like the old boys that have been there for so long, like TJ and Bus. Yeah, I was pretty happy like that we were able to do that for them. And like what made it more like more real was like that we did it on their home turf.
It's always good to beat Canterbury at home, isn't it? So.
Yeah.
Of course, last year the Lions again made the final, this time at home, and they bet Bay plenty in what was an arm wrestle of a game in heavy rain. You missed the game. I think that was because you had a shoulder injury. Was that correct?
Yeah.
Yep.
That's when.
Yeah. How did that injury come about?
So I think it was in the Canterbury Counties game where we got smoked by quite a bit. In one of my runs, I went to tap the ball and try and jump through two guys, but I just went shoulder and dislocated my one and tore my labrum. And then they straight away said, your season's done. Just focus on getting yourself right for Super Rugby. But yeah, I was pretty gutted, like pretty gutted not to be out there with the others. Like obviously I wanted to play because it was pretty big game. But yeah, I'm happy that some of the young bucks got to experience that feeling, like that finals feeling. And they did a pretty good job. So.
Yeah, they did a great job. Yeah. Now, speaking about one of the young bucks that was in the final, let's talk about Hicker Elliott, who came off the bench for the final. What was it like having Hicker in the team for the week of the final?
I'm pretty sure some of the young boys didn't know who he was. But me, I knew who he was because my dad used to watch them play back in the day. And then to see him walk in, I was like, holy, this guy's still playing. Yeah. But he was good, good experience. Like he added to the culture well. And he was just keen on getting in, like doing the work and helping the boys win. Like obviously he's from Waikato, but he was happy. He was pretty happy to be a Lions just for that day.
Yep. What was an important game. So you're still gutted that you missed that final because of injury?
Yeah, pretty gutted. But I was pretty happy seeing young boys like Brad and Siale get a run, and for them to do the job as well was it was pretty cool.
Who is the one mentor or coach who has made you a better player?
One mentor or coach? It's quite a few of them, if I was being honest. But I'd say Vern is a real big one for me. Like, it's just his coaching style, like, really complements the way I play. Fiki, pretty big help with me, like with the scrums, and also Feshe, like big Portito. They always help me like become the best version of myself. So I'm pretty grateful for those guys. I basically just named the whole of his coaching staff.
Yeah, pretty much did you?
Pretty quiet here.
It's because you want some game time too, don't you? Here
Not
we
watching
go.
this.
No, they're probably. Who is your favourite teammate on and off the field?
Oh, that's pretty hard to say because I know some of them will probably see this.
Yep.
But I'd say Shale Lawaki will be one of them. Shione Halililo. Ben Ake from the Blues, be one of the main ones. And Akira Yomiya. Those are my main boys.
Yeah. Tawa plays away this week against Avalon this Saturday. Avalon tend to be a tough team to get away early from. So how do you think the boys will approach this game after a good win against Porirua last week?
I think they'll just play the way they usually play. Just get front foot ball, give the ball to George Vasale, hope that he breaks the line and just support him. Yeah, but our boys got some pretty good ball runners as well, like Matolo, George Vasale and that. But I'm pretty confident the boys will get one up on this weekend.
And of course, Super Rugby, the Blues fly over to Brisbane to take on the highly fancied Queensland Reds this Friday. How is the team approaching this game, which will be a tough assignment there in Brisbane?
They obviously know Reds are a pretty good team, but the boys are just more us focused this week, like what we can do better from what happened last week, how we should play against the Reds coming, and just same old crash and bang.
Well, PJ, it's been great having you on the Huddy Hui. All the best with your injury, and hopefully we'll see you be out there playing a few Super Rugby games as the season over the next few weeks.
Yeah, cheers, brother. Thanks for having me.
We're here. Good interview with PJ Sheck, and we're going to see how the Blues go this weekend over in Brisbane. We're going to be previewing the fourth round of Wellington Club Rugby and the Swindale Shield action. And we've got Adam Julian here in the studio, back from his travels over in Southeast Asia.
I've had 3 months in Southeast Asia. 45 days of those were in India, and I had the great thrill of meeting the CEO of India Rugby, Nasser Hussain, not to be confused with the Test cricketer who captained England so successfully for many years. But Nasser Hussain, the Christian Cullen of India, he holds the record for the most tests for his country. He scored the most tries for his country. And furthermore, he actually played a test match with both his father and his son, Nasser Hussain. Probably the most interesting rugby personality I met on my travels. And I also had the good fortune of witnessing the Blackburn Sevens win in Hong Kong, and what a sensational team they are. And there was great news today, Brad, locally, when the Blackburns wider training group was named for the Pac-4 series for World Cup year. Not only did Aisha Letiainga make the side, as if she wouldn't, but Dice Faliafanga is in the team, and she's been with the Blackburn Sevens for a long time now, based out of Mount Maunganui, but of course the product of St Mary's College and Northern United.
So some big games in Swindale Shield action. Let's look at our first game of the round. It's Avalon back at home for the first time this weekend against Tawa. Tawa, of course, narrowly beating Porirua last week and then losing to Batoni the week before and then beating Old Boys University. One of the form sides. I don't think they would lose this game, Adam.
Well, the way you've described the results there, Brad, it's like following the share market at the moment, especially in light of this chaotic Trump tariff situation. The results are extremely unpredictable, and Tawa and Porirua and several other teams have 2 wins, and Old Boys University, of course, the reigning champions, not a single win. But to the specific question, Avalon versus Tawa, Avalon unfortunately struggling right now as they were last season, didn't win a game in 2024. Tawa, 2 wins out of 3, beefy pack. Jacob Denya, who was profiled on Club Rugby this week, what a fantastic young lad he is, very good player too. They should have too much ammunition for the Wolves.
They certainly should. So game number 2, another team back at home is Hut Old Boys, first game at home at the Hut Rec. this season, going up against Parramatta Plymouton, who got out to a flyer last week against Marist St. Pat's, only to lose in the final 10 minutes.
That was a screamer of a game. And not only did Parramatta Plymouton lose in the last 10 minutes, they lost in sundry time after regulation. Boy, what an outstanding win for Marist St. Pat's at the Ngāti Tawa Domain. Huddle Boys Marist, they were down to 12 at one stage last week, only lost to Johnsonville by 5. So obviously their discipline has to be much better. That's going to be a study in contrast, that game. Hutt, traditionally, and again this year, very big, powerful pack. Parramatta Plymouton, a more vibrant, expansive side. Essie Collins side, man of the match in that game against Marist St. Pat's. Brady got another 2 tries. He's a sensation. Louis Northcott, very fine player. But do the Hammerheads have enough in the forwards to beat Hutt? I'm not sure they do.
Yeah, the forwards for Hutt are very strong. They were great against Old Boys University 2 weeks ago, particularly their number 8 being Tua Manufili, who was outstanding. So no doubt, Hutt at home probably should win that game, courtesy of their size of their pack.
Big Ben's a good story too, isn't he, Brad? So Ben Tuimanufili out of Wellington College, first 15, big raps, struggled to break through, had a spell in Otago, got a degree, came back. Fantastic form for Huddle Boys Marist last year, and he was right on the periphery of the Wellington Lions, the NPC champions.
That's right. He actually got a one-game debut against Otago down there in Dunedin, alongside his other Huddle Boys Marist teammate Harry Press, who also previously played for Otago as well.
And that was a great game because Wellington won that one narrowly in the middle of their storm week. Unfortunately, the WRFU Shield challenge was abysmal, but that was really the catalyst that set them up for that great run home to win the championship. And a brief digression, I've been away for a while, but still following the Super Rugby as well, shown at all the X-Pac bars. Duplessis Karifi, unbelievable form this year, Brad. If that guy's not in the All Blacks, I might migrate back to Southeast Asia for a while.
You certainly love it over there, that's for sure. The next game, Upper Hutt at home against the Villagers Petone. Upper Hutt have won this game the last 2 years. 2 years ago at Maidstone Park, it was a high-scoring affair. Toby Crosby was the captain. He's now at the Warriors. Petone losing in the last 10 minutes last year at home. Surprising result of Upper Hutt pretty much smashing Old Boys University last week, and Petone undefeated. So this could be a game that could go down to the wire.
Absolutely. It's a wild game, this one potentially. Last year, Upper Hutt had a very good win coming from behind. Upper Hutt, sensational result for them last Saturday, Brad. 46-21 over Old Boys University. Yeti Campbell scored just as many points by himself as the entire Old Boys University side scored. But Tony, you're familiar with them, with your program carrying their games often. They're a good, young, hearty outfit. They've got forwards who aren't necessarily the biggest, but they're very diligent, and some game breakers out wide. They had a very gutsy win against Tawa. Tawa repeatedly pummeled their line, and yet somehow the Villagers found a way to win. Young Jermaine Pepe outstanding in that game with 2 tries. He's a Rangiora product, so good to see him in Wellington. That game at Maidstone Park, that's a knife-edge one, but I'm predicting an Upper Hutt win at home.
And I'll go the opposite way. I think Tony will sneak home as well with the win there. Next up, Marist St. Pat's back at home against Northern United. Marist, of course, winning it right at the end against Parramatta Plymouton, but they've had 2 losses at home. They're coming up against Norths, who won in the first 2 games, and then last week came up against Oriental Rongotai, who did the number of them. I think historically this game's always been pretty close, but I think Marist at home should just do enough.
They contested a series of Jubilee Cup finals in the mid to late 2000s to MSP and North. They were epic games. Who could ever forget the 10-all draw in the Jubilee Cup final? And Chris Middleton was the MVP, and Peter Searseer playing game 472 for Marist St. Pat's was his stoic self. North's bit of a reality check for them last week, Brad. 55-10 against Auries. That's a harsh scoreline. And they scrambled to beat the Wellington Axemen in the first round. MSP, that was a season saver, wasn't it?
Yeah.
At Ngāti Tawa. If they hadn't have won that game, they would have been 0-3. They're back at home. Next Saturday, they have a huge reunion of their 1990s era success. So the Scarlets to come home in that one.
And then, of course, Porniki at home against the X-Men. Of course, the X-Men came close to beating Norths 2 weeks ago, only losing the last few minutes. And then, of course, they did their best against Wainui on Thursday night last week. Porniki did pretty well against Tawa until the final 10 minutes, where they just couldn't get the ball, and Tawa managed to hold on to win. Much improved outfit are the Street Kids this year, Adam, and they'll be too strong at home.
I agree with that. They've got some terrific young players, Porniki. And one thing I must say in regards to Porniki, there was a great sadness in that club in January when Pakai Turia passed away. That was news which spread internationally. He was an incredibly well-regarded young man and a superb player to watch. Not always predictable in a good way, but always entertaining, always vibrant, and he was really a wonderful contributor to Wellington Club Rugby, and his loss was sadly felt by a lot of people, myself included, abroad.
Of course, next up is Wainui at home against the Hawks. Of course, Wainui got their first win last week, Thursday, against Wellington and Johnsonville. Well, I don't think we expected them to beat Huddy Boys Marist, but they sure did. Away on the road at Wainui, William Jones Park. As we've known, we've commentated a lot of games there over the years. It's a difficult place to play.
It is a difficult place to play. Mind you, Johnsonville were playing against 12 for a lot of their game against Huddy Boys Marist, so that no doubt helped the cause. Johnsonville, though, good side this year. They won in the first round. They were close in the second round to winning as well. Wainui Mata, William Jones Park, Greg Leolofi, 196 games. His double century only a month away, and that's motivation for Wainui Mata to perform well. That'll be interesting, that game. Wainui Mata beat Wellington, but they were competitive in their first two outings. I'm tipping an upset.
Yeah, I think I'll go Wainui on that one as well at home. I think they'll do pretty well. Last game of the round, it's also the game that Huddy Sports is covering this Saturday. It's also on radio. Te Puku o Te Ika is the Billy Goats, Old Boys University, taking on Oriental Rongotai, and they're playing out at Ian Galloway Park this Saturday. There is a story behind this because they're going to be wearing Old Boys University West Roosters design jersey, because they're sort of come to a bit of a working relationship, the two clubs. And so they're going to have the West jersey with the logo there and Old Boys University on the other side. But as you mentioned, Old Boys University, yet to get a win. First two rounds, they lost by 2 points in those two games. And then Upper Hutt dealt to them last week. They're going to have to make a statement against this Oris team, which is on fire at the moment.
That's a practical initiative from Old Boys University and West, a club struggling right now, as are a number of clubs in the capital. We all drink at the same pubs. We should work together more often to keep people on the field. That's got to be the key point in any question about club rugby, is how do we keep more people on the field and encourage others to play. So well done to OBU and West. Oris, though, that's a tough game. For two sides to beat. Oris on fire this year, 3-0, humbled Norths last weekend. They've got two loose forwards, Dominic Ropeti and Sione Halalilo, who played for the Hurricanes Hunters today against the New Zealand under-20, so they're right on the precipice of Super Rugby. OBU, they have to win. If they don't win this one, they'll be 0-4. Now, Wainui Mata went winless in 2014 and made the Jubilee Cup final, but they had two draws.
That's right.
OBU could be 4 losses, and no team has ever recovered from that to win the Swindale Shield, let alone the Jubilee Cup. OBU, though, 2 losses by 2 points in the first 2 rounds. Sound like Richie Beno. So they are much better than perhaps their position reflects on the table. I think this is a wise choice as the game of the round. And I'm predicting Oris to win narrowly. I just think they might be a bit too dynamic, but it'll be tight out there at Ian Galloway Park.
And of course, the return of Premier Rugby at the Cage. It's been a while since there's been Premier Rugby played there.
Yes, it is. So I hope they've done the lawns, because the last time walked past there, looked worse than my hair.
Yes, no, well, anything worse than that. Needs a good haircut. Well, as well as the Swindale Shield, we've got some first 15 pre-season games on in the capital city. There's 2 games of significance. St. Bede's taking on Silverstream at Silverstream, and St. Pat's Town hosting Christ, who are apparently in the UC competition are one of the favourites this year.
They are. So Christ College, a very famous rugby establishment. Damien McKenzie is one of their several All Blacks, over 20 All Blacks at Christ College. Jock Hobbs was another Christ old boy. Robbie Deans. So it's a real nursery of Canterbury rugby talent. And indeed, they have 2 All Black coaches. Brad Rubenthorne, the former Crusaders and All Black captain, and Sam Broomhall, who was a very fine loose forward for the Crusaders. Their other coach is the gregarious Sam Chamberlain. And we loved Sam when he was in Wellington. He won a Jubilee Cup with Old Boys University. Last year, they were 4th in the Miles Toyota Championship, which is 10 teams from the Crusaders part of the country. And that's a very strong competition. Nelson College from that competition, coached by Greg Foy of Porniki this year. They made it all the way to the national final and lost narrowly to Hamilton. So that's an illustration of the strength of that competition. Christ College, they've got a number of returning players, including a big forward pack. So they might be too tough for St. Pat's Town, who are in their first game after a checkered season. Brad, it was a very emotional season for St. Pat's Town last year. They'd won 6 games in a row. They'd positioned themselves nicely on the table for an assault at the championship. And then we lost Willie Leota, and that was incredibly sad and a tough thing for Town and his family to deal with. The assistants to Willie last year have stepped up to the plate. Congratulations to them. They've got some talent, as they showed last year with a young side winning 6 in a row. So hopefully they give a good account of themselves, and I'm sure they will.
So that is going to be the Huddy Hui tonight. Make sure you get out there on Friday, Anzac Day, and go and see some of the dawn services or many of the other services around in the morning on Anzac Day on Friday. We're looking forward to rugby this weekend. And, of course, the Huddy Hui will be back next Wednesday. To close out the Hui tonight, we will play the high-scoring highlights from Wellington College and Tauranga boys played last Saturday. Many thanks to Adam for coming on for the preview. And I'm Brad Hudson. Ciao for now.
With the blank, with no number. Gains meters again, this time secures the ball well for Wellington College. Now they stretch it out. Here goes Finn Leighton. And Leighton crashes over and scores. Solid by Wellington College. It comes out to the back. Ward skip through to the centre. Jackson. Now they take it out wide. And Tauranga boys get their first try. Might be the arm out by Barry. Chipped over the top. It's time by Emmett. And he could go all the way. And he does so. An excellent try.
Malachi Emmett.
Because all 3 tries have been off errors.
Sims cutting through. Try time for Naren Campbell. And here they go for a good charge here again by McQuaid. And there's a plea for the try. It has been awarded. The try has been awarded. They have scored, and it is Harry Baddington scoring the try for Wellington College.
Yeah, it's those kickoffs again.
Advantage has been played. And Barry awards the try, and it's going to be Schwolger that scores. Backwards, and it's going to be a run here by Tommy McQuaid, and he's going to go and try and get a hat trick, which he is going to do. Tommy McQuaid. Ball's been put into the drive. Danger time for Wellington College. They look to crash open to Tauranga boys. The try's been awarded. And
A bit of a push on there.
And here's the break. Jackson out to McQuaid again. He's going to possibly get 4 tries. He's going to sail under the post, does he? He does. This big pass over the top to Emmett. Kicks it over. He's chasing for his second. He's got a second try. There's got to be an inquiry, folks, but watching forward. That's the first time Tauranga boys have left under pressure. Trying to lunge forward, just short again. And the try's been awarded. Beef him.
It's the Huddy Hui. You can find Huddy Sports on Instagram and Facebook. And check out huddysports.co.nz.
Here on Huddy Sports, we like to thank our sponsors that have always been grateful to our causes here on Huddy Sports. Our first sponsor, Mike Pinfold Plumbing and Drain Laying Limited. If you need any drain laying or plumbing assistance, give Mike Pinfold a call on 027 430 4351 or Pinfold Plumbing at extra.co.nz. Louise Reddy of New Zealand Travel Brokers. If you need any travel advice, she's local here in the Hutt Valley in Petone. Call 021 135 3076. Louise Reddy, Louise.Reddy at nztravelbrokers.co.nz. And also to Gavin Murphy and the team at Jen Hickton Funeral Directors. They've been serving Wellington families of their funeral directoring services since 1946. So go to jenhickton.co.nz. They're all local people here in the Hutt Valley and Wellington that service our greater community. We also like to thank Ben Belushnik Visual Designs that helps with the graphics here on Huddy Sports. As here on Huddy Sports, we're always wanting to keep our content free on YouTube. So the idea of sponsors, we can promote you on live stream, our social media pages and our website. It's good to support the local community and helps keep Huddy Sport free for all to watch. So if you're interested to helping Huddy Sports, go to huddysports.co.nz or to our email address, huddysportsnz@gmail.com.